Council President.
About any item on tonight's agenda. We're having a public hearing on redistricting, so if this is about redistricting, we'll allow speakers at the public hearing. Okay. So we'll start with the Honorable Mr. Charles Lesnick.
Thank you, Madam President. I think this is the first time I've had the honor to address you in these chambers. I think I have addressed each of your predecessors since Vinnie Restiano, so it is a pleasure to be here again. I actually want to speak on item number 6, which surprisingly enough, I'm in favor of. It's the item that points me back to the Parks Board. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank the mayor and the city council for appointing me the first time to fill a vacancy. Now I get to serve a whole term. And my observations of the Parks Board and the Parks Department of the city of Yonkers has been very favorable. There's been a tremendous attention to the quality of life. This council has been very strong in their support of the capital items for the Parks Department. There's been many ribbon cuttings, and we've also had some public-private partnerships from everyone from Styles P to some of the corporations that have come into Yonkers to support the parks, to the enslaved African rain garden. There's been tremendous cooperation between the city and the public sector and the private sector. The Parks Department is well run. Commissioner Steve Sansone and his deputies, and down to the men and women who clean the parks every day and coordinate with DPW and the other city departments. So you get my labor for free. Thank you again for the reappoint, and I'm in favor of your action.
Thank you for that. Have the next gentleman come up if you wanted to speak on anything. Next to Mr. Lesnick, you said you wanted to speak. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Philip Armstrong, 50 Landscape Avenue, Yonkers, New York. I want to speak about something in my area. We, the citizens of Southwest Yonkers, on both sides of the SB bid corridor, South Broadway, wish to express our opposition to proposed 16-story complex at 632-636 South Broadway in Yonkers, 10705. It's a complete change to the character of the neighborhood.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Is that item on the agenda? If so, please reference what number that is.
No, that's why I said it wasn't on the agenda.
Okay, the committee of the whole is for items on the agenda.
Okay. So I should sit down?
No.
If you please. Thank you. Is there anyone in the gallery who would like to speak about an item that is on tonight's agenda?
Redistricting is on the agenda, Madam?
Yes, however, we are having a public hearing with regard to redistricting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're trying to give the floor to other people that had other items on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the gallery that would like to speak about an item on tonight's agenda? Is there anyone in the gallery who would like to speak about an item on tonight's
There's
agenda?
no one there?
You forgot something? Okay.
Having just looked at the agenda again, I see that number 1 is the local law readopting sections C-1-3, reaffirming the ward boundaries of the city of Yonkers. And
We're having
I know-
a public hearing on redistricting as soon as we close this committee of a whole.
Great. So this is not a question about redistricting. This is a
Okay.
question about the ward boundaries, because I understand that that is part of the local law, and redistricting will be decided.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that this council can't go back after redistricting, even in the months to come after that. I have long been an advocate for improving the relationship between the council lines and the ward lines, and my proposal continues to be that each council district should have 2 and only 2 wards within it, and that after the redistricting is settled, that you sometime before next year, when the district leaders run again, that you consider another ward redistricting committee. It may require changes to the charter. Maybe the charter revision committee has to look at it. But again, just to advocate that each council district should be 2 and only 2 wards.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the gallery that wants to speak about an item on tonight's agenda? Is there anyone in the gallery who would like to speak about an item on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we will hereby, if there are no communications,
No, we have no communication.
okay, and there are no speakers in the gallery that want to speak about an item on tonight's agenda, we will hereby close this committee of a whole. Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, January 31st, 2023. This is the stated meeting of the Yonkers City Council. Mr. Clerk, please read the roll.
Council President Collins Bellamy.
Here.
Majority Leader Diaz.
Present.
Majority Whip Rubo.
Here.
Minority Leader Breen.
Present.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Pineda Isaac.
Here.
Councilmember Moranti.
By the way, sources are telling me that John Rubo was very influential in the way that lines.
Thank you. I'd ask that everyone stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd ask that everyone remain standing in a brief moment of silence on behalf of Mr. Tyree Nichols, who lost his life in Memphis, Tennessee. Thank you.
The minutes of the stated meeting held on January 17, 2023, approved on the motion of Majority Leader Diaz.
Duly accepted.
Council President, this evening, we have 7 items on the agenda, and we have a public hearing scheduled.
Okay, the first item on the agenda, before we get to the first item, is the public hearing. So we will begin with that. I call this public hearing to order. Mr. Deputy Clerk, would you please read the call of the meeting?
Sure. Public hearing notice. Notice is hereby given pursuant to law that the City Council of the City of Yonkers, New York will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, January 31st, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the City Council Chambers, 40 South Broadway, Yonkers, New York, on the following resolution to wit. Following local law to wit, a proposed local law. A local law amending section C1-4 of the Charter of the City of Yonkers entitled City Council Districts. Council President, just for the record, in the agenda, it was written as resolution, but it's a local law.
Thank you for that. And before we begin the public hearing, I just wanted to update you all and also give you a timeline of the redistricting process as we would like to see it. Some of you may know, we sent out emails yesterday advising that there will be another public forum here in the chamber tomorrow to discuss. We did update the map after hearing the questions and concerns from the community. So I wanted to, and the new map is, the second proposed map is on display in the hall. If you haven't seen it, you can take a look at it in the hallway. But just to give some of the updates that we have done, districts 315 and 326, which were moved from the 3rd to the 6th district, are now in the 1st district. Beach Hill remains in the 6th district. Crestwood Lake in districts 5, 8 will remain in the, looks like I wrote 5. I can't read my handwriting. I must have wanted to be a doctor. Cedar Lane, Ballant Drive, and the towers on Central Park Avenue, districts 11, 14 are in the 6th district, and Gramerton Hills in ED 2, 4 are in the 5th district. Those were the overwhelming comments were with regard to the districts on Northern Warburton Avenue being lumped with the 6th district, areas in Beach Hill being put back into the 6th district, and Gramerton Hills had been divided. We made that all one district in the 5th. So keep that in mind when we are having the public hearing, that we did hear your concerns and we did make proposed changes. That map can also be found on the City Council website. It has been updated. Okay? And with that, we will call our first speaker for the night.
Council President, the first speaker is Chuck Lesnick.
Gramerton Hills
I
also
don't want to
complained that they didn't
monopolize,
have
but I got here early.
variety.
I guess you're
wasn't
probably
just that they
glad
were
there were
split up.
term limits back then, or I'd still be here having, monopolizing the conversation. When my kids were little, they used to like to finger paint. And sometimes they would get up and they'd make this great finger painting and they'd show it to me. And I'd say, this is really beautiful. And then they'd do a little bit more and I'd say, it's okay. And then they'd do so much more that it was all black and you couldn't see anything and the colors had blurred and they ruined it. Sometimes I would have to say, you have to move away from the finger painting. You're done now and you stop tinkering. The council's to be applauded for listening to the public, but you did a pretty good job on the first round. And I think that the majority of the citizens saw that and stayed home. 40 people came, 200,000 people stayed home. My parents happen to live at 1133 Warburton Avenue in North Broadway. My cousins happen to live at 1085 North Broadway. And in all the conversations I've had in the past week, most of them have no idea redistricting is going on. But when they learned about it, they were actually glad to be in the 6th district. They wanted to be in the district where Untermeyer Park was. They wanted to be in the district where Executive Boulevard was, since that's the entrance to their community. And they saw a lot of commonality between that area. They also thought it was good to have another councilman, this case would be Mr. Moranti, actually representing the Hudson River. You come just close to the Hudson River, put another councilman on the Hudson River so that there'll be an advocate for the environment, there'll be an advocate for the Hudson River. So I just wanted to say how important it was, again, some people in the community came. I think there were 8 that came and spoke about districts 326. That's fine. Leave that where it is. But those 2 districts, 315 and by necessity 311, I just urge you to keep in the 6th district. That's my plea. Stop the finger painting. Thanks.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Justin Tubiello, followed by Joey Barra.
Thank you very much. Madam City Council President, I want to thank you and the council members, number one, for your transparency, for your caring, for your fairness, and above all, your leadership. Leadership has to do with listening, and there is no more important listening process than what you've done over the past couple of weeks, and I commend you for that. Thank you very much. When you look at what is best interest, when you look at what the process is, it's not about parties. It's not about politics. It's about communities and constituents. That they must have a say at all times and be involved with the process of their city. We have more work to do, Madam President. I commend you for the changes that were made and the comments you made earlier. Thank you very much. But I look at certain things in the 4th District where I live, and I see in the heart of the 4th District, you have now Park Hill Avenue. That's quite a stretch from the 4th Council District, okay? Other items I have, of course, in the 6th District, you have now taken out the it was 2-4, which is St. Anne's Parish. And that was very much a part of that community for a long time and part of the 6th District. But we have a ways to go, and the most important thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that we work together, we listen, we hear, and we come to a point where it's a benefit for everyone. I commend all of you, and I thank you all for your participation and for your leadership. It means a lot, and it shows a lot to the city of Yonkers. I do have some changes, Madam President, and I want to ask you, who should I refer them to? Is it Mr. Beveridge? Is it your office? Where do I send them to?
You can send your email to councilpresident@yonkersny.gov.
Thank you. And I just want to end by saying, you've made me very proud of each and every one of you, because it's important we keep on hearing, no matter what the party is, what the position is, it's about working together for the best interests of the city of Yonkers and our people. Thank you very much.
That's right, Justin Tubiello, former,
Next speaker is Joey Barra, followed by Michael Hertz.
his son is Democrat.
Yeah, I would like to say, the council is doing some things right and some things wrong. We had a referendum in 1994 to keep term limits, and it's a disgrace that 4 councilmen voted for to stand term limits. This has to stop. We need a new change in the city of Yonkers. Spano has to get out. Spencer had a referendum when he wanted to run.
Mr. Barrett, can you please stay on topic
Fermacone
with
had to run,
redistricting?
and that's a disgrace. We have to applaud Ms. Moranti for voting against the term limits, and we have to applaud Ms. Williams and Ms. Diaz, that this cause zone that voted against the term limits. This has to stop. We have to get a new change in the city of Yonkers. We have to put Manti run for mayor, because he's going to be the next mayor in the city of Yonkers.
Please stay on topic. Thank you.
Michael Hurts, followed by Richard
Longtime
Harrison.
resident who speaks his mind, and he's tired of the corruption like many of us are.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Mike Hertz. I live at 1 David Lane in Yonkers, New York. I had an opportunity to take a look at proposed map number 2, and I wanted to thank the council for incorporating the comments of the 8 people who spoke from that neighborhood to the best of your ability. So I see 326 is in District 1. 3-16 is in District 1. It would be great if 311 could make it into District 3. I guess that will be, something you may be able to look at or see if it can go into District 1. I think it's important to listen to the people who make comments about where they live, where they actually live, not where they live and have friends and family across town, but where they actually live and where they get involved, where they step up. And it is definitely, certainly a big improvement in my opinion, and I believe in the folks who live in Greystone that you've done, and I want to thank you for that.
Richard Harrison, followed by Belinda Cruz. Richard? Belinda Cruz? All right, so those 2 speakers are not present. Michelle Giasanti.
I'm sure they revised the districts of the people who were
Good
making
evening.
the most noise.
Good evening. With all due respect, we, the people of the community, vote politicians into office. All you have to do is move numbers and figures around on paper as in the past. Corporations and businesses do it all the time, as you are well aware. We are not on board with the redistricting. District 6 worked long and hard to do fundraisers for St. Anne's School and Church. Rubo said that he wanted to drown us out. We were boots on the ground.
Wow.
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
There will
We
be
were
no-
boots on the
give me-
ground.
Ms. Michelle, give me one moment.
People from other areas aren't going to concentrate and work through the issues that arise. I am not going to church on the other side of town, nor moving because you want a change for political and racial redistricting. You are not being sensitive to all of our concerns. We, the people, pay taxes here and are on top of crime and everything else in our communities, and you will be creating an explosive divide. Please rethink your poor decisions made for all of your personal gains. Don't include the majority in your mistake by forcing it down our throats. Thank you, respectfully.
Please be on notice that any outbursts in the chambers will result to you being asked to leave. Please respect everyone when they are at the podium speaking. Thank you.
Council President, we do not have any other speakers signed up. I'll ask the deputy. No? All right, so it appears that that was the final speaker.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the chamber that wants to speak about redistricting?
I would.
Okay. First hand I saw was Coleman.
Good evening. My name is Margaret Fountain Coleman. I live off of Yonkers Avenue. I wasn't going to speak, but just by the lack of numbers that are in the chamber tonight, it once again feels like that we're once again not reaching the constituents in the way that we should. I asked last week, I guess it was last week, it feels like a week, that one of the things that needed to happen is that every council person go out into your community and talk to your constituents. I'm still waiting. That's the problem.
Tell them.
If people, just like what Mike said, knew that things were going to happen in their district, the way that it's going to impact their voting, the people who represent them, I am quite sure that this room would be filled. And that's the part that transparency is really about. When everybody sitting in this room is represented, that's what that's about. Transparency is just not, a few people in a few neighborhoods. It's when everybody with a collective mass knows exactly what is happening in their city. And I'm saddened because this still does not represent transparency. Have a good evening.
He's right. I mean, they did not go out into the community and,
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
make people aware.
At the
Right? That was
Riverfront
one of the
Library
reasons
last
why-
week, I spoke about transparency in government. And I want to commend you for taking the time to explain to the audience what exactly redistricting was and what it is supposed to be. And the way I took from that is it's a simple mathematical thing. You need X amount of numbers in each district to balance out everything. But what I could see from the changes made now, it's not a simple redistricting. This is a political decisions here. This is not redistricting, this is gerrymandering.
Right.
And I think that's, again, a little, when we go back to the transparency, let's do it what needs to be. It's a number game, move the numbers around, but not moving the districts for political gain. Thank you.
Do we have any other speakers in the chamber that would like to speak with regard to redistricting? Okay. I'll just give you all a bit of the timeline that we are facing with in order to get the maps to the Westchester County Board of Elections. Tuesday, January 31st will be the City Council public hearing that we are all attending. Wednesday, February 1st, my idea for the meeting would be to have Mr. Beveridge, our consultant that is here, sit with us and show us the process of how we are able to move districts around. It's based on a census tract and a number of population in that district, whether you're able to move it into one district or another. So we will highlight that tomorrow evening at the meeting that will be held here in the chamber. Thursday, February 2nd, we will finalize the map if it is not in its final form. Also on February 2nd, we will introduce revised legislation because the legislation includes the census tracts and which districts they're in. So if there are any changes, we have to change the legislation to reflect those changes. Friday, February 3rd, notice will go out for a Friday, February 10th special meeting and another public hearing. Because the maps changed from the first proposal to the second, we have to hold a second public hearing. As I said, it is required by law. On Tuesday, February 7th at 6:30, the Rules Committee will refer for the same night a special meeting for February 10th. So in the Rules Committee, we'll make that request for the February 10th meeting, and the committee will discuss these new proposed maps while in committee. And then the public hearing will be opened that started tonight. We're not going to close this one. It's going to be a continuation, okay, and for more input. So I am hearing your concerns and trying to give every opportunity for public input. With this new meeting, we sent it to everyone that showed up at Monday and Wednesday's meeting. You should have received that by email. We're trying. So this is most of our first time ever doing redistricting. There may have been 2 council members here when it was done 10 years ago. And so we don't have a blueprint to say this is how we did it last time, we're going to do it again. However, we are creating a standard because I was advised that 10 years ago, there were no hearings. It was just a done deal. So we're creating a precedent that whomever is after us in 10 years will follow. But the public hearing will be opened and continue for further discussion and public input. Friday, February 10th will be a city council special meeting and a vote on the map as well as a public hearing. Tuesday, February 14th, there will be a council meeting, but the mayor will receive our local law. Remember that Monday, the 13th, is a holiday, so that kind of impedes our time frame. I spoke with the commissioner of the Board of Elections myself yesterday to confirm dates to ensure that we're getting as much time as we can to the public before we have to submit. Their hard deadline is the 16th, and they have to have a process in-house where they input the map into their system in order to generate petitions and everything that they'll have to do in their process for the upcoming primary. So if we have to have everything to them by the 16th, having a vote on the 14th, is it the 14th? Where'd I go? The 10th is the vote, gives them enough time to get it and input it before their 6th deadline. February 14th is when the mayor will receive the local law, notice will be published. The mayor will also have a public hearing, and that's the date for his public hearing is to be determined for a final approval of the local law. So again, we're starting tonight, the 31st. This public hearing will be left open as a continuation. Tomorrow, we'll have another public meeting with Mr. Beveridge just to show the process, because I want the public to see the process itself. That's a part of transparency, not here's a map we created behind the scenes and it is what it is, showing you the process, hopefully in an attempt to make you all comfortable with the map as proposed. Okay, February 1st, we'll revise the map and have that meeting. The 2nd, hopefully the map will be finalized after input from the public. Also on the 2nd, the legislation will be revised. The 3rd, notice will go out for the 10th special meeting and public hearing. On the 7th, this public hearing will be continued and the notice for the February 10th meeting. And the committee will discuss, the Rules Committee meeting will discuss the proposed map on February 7th at Rules. The 10th will be the special meeting and a vote, hopefully, and a public hearing as well. The 14th, the mayor will receive the local law and notice will be published for his public hearing. Okay, I thank you all for your time and coming out and having your voices heard. We've received numerous emails, which I will share with the clerk's office, and I hope that we have addressed most of your concerns with regard to redistricting, and the process is still ongoing. So if there's no further comments, we will leave this open, but move on to the next item on the agenda. Yes, I believe I mentioned the town hall meeting tomorrow is in the chambers here at City Hall.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll move on to item 1 on the agenda.
So, Council President, this evening, we have 7 items on the agenda. The first is a local law, readopting section C1-3, reaffirming the ward boundaries of the city of Yonkers.
Okay, do we have any questions or comment? We'll start with Minority Leader Breen.
Thank you, Madam Council President. I was on that committee along with my esteemed colleague, Co-Representative Pineda Isaac, and I know Justin Tubiel in the audience was on that committee. When it came to finalizing the ward committee, some of the leaders of our various parties came in and asked us to leave the wards the way they were. The votes are redistricting, or bodies of voters aren't reckoned by wards. The wards serve a purpose, so let's say politically, for the two parties. The leaders asked us to leave the wards the way they were. The wards have district leaders, they have a system. So we opted to leave the wards the way they were. I know there was mention of 2 wards each district, and quite frankly, I don't think the leaders of the two parties are interested in it. So the committee opted to leave it the way it is, and that's the way it's presented here tonight, and I will be voting for it. And that's kind of my report, the committee report on our ward committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Minority Leader. Is there any other questions or comments, discussion on this item? If not, we will close the floor for discussion and bring this item to a vote. Mr. Deputy Clerk.
Adopted 7-0. Next item is a local law amending various chapter of the Code of the City of Yonkers in relation to sign and scaffolding fees.
I will open up the floor for discussion on this item. Seeing no discussion, I will close the floor and bring this item to a vote. Mr. Deputy Clerk, all members by name.
Adopted 7-0. Item number 3 is a local law amending Chapter 56 of the Code of the City of Yonkers entitled Building and Electrical Code in relation to rodent abatement during certain construction work.
I will open up the floor for discussion on this item. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Council President. This is actually a local law that I sponsored in reference to the quality of life issues we have here in Yonkers. We know there's a lot of development going on in here in Yonkers. We had a problem with rodents here in Yonkers, and I think that this local law would help us because the people that are coming in to do development, I'm requesting that they have some kind of pest control on site when they disturb the ground, whether it be an abandoned lot or whether it be something that they're going to reconstruct over. I think that this is something that's vital for the city because we don't want the residents around that area where the development is going on to have to deal with the rodents that will come with that development. So this is something that I proposed, and I'm in hope that the council will be in support of this as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Minority Leader Breen.
Thank you, Madam Council President. I just want to compliment my colleague for introducing this legislation. We had a meeting earlier tonight where there's lots of development coming still. And if it's going to upset the ground and cause this problem, I think we're ahead of the curve. So I think this is good legislation. I will be supporting it.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, or discussion?
What do you guys think about
Seeing
the
none, we
rodents?
will close the floor
coming
and bring
because
this
of the
item to a
developments?
vote. Mr. Deputy Clerk, all members by name.
Adopted 7-0.
7-0.
Item number 4 is a special ordinance authorizing an encroachment in the city right-of-way on Leffers Road, subject to certain terms and conditions.
I will open the floor for discussion on this item.
Anyway, the real thing I wanted to show was the meeting, excuse me, in regards to the district thing. So I guess they're saying that they're listening to the people. They're gonna wait. They're gonna consider what people were saying. They did make some changes. They're gonna make a vote. They're gonna vote on it February 10th. The deadline is February 16th, but the mayor will receive the revised, proposed maps on the 14th, right? So there's gonna be another meeting tomorrow, and I guess it's gonna be an ongoing thing until they vote on it the 10th. They said hopefully. Why did Lakeisha look nervous about it, right? Is it me or does she look nervous, right? She just kind of looked at, like she was like, I heard you guys, we're going to do this. Like they really, I guess kind of, gave in to the people, it seems like a little bit, right? They did extend it a little bit and they're willing to do more public hearings. Maybe they'll go out into their districts and actually let the people know about it. But, it seems like they're making, more of an effort here when the people complain. Unlike the term limits, right? Why did they do the same for the term limits? A lot of people were upset about the term limit extension. Why didn't they give more time? Why didn't they say, hey, we're going to have a few more public hearings. We're going to, postpone the vote on the term limit. Why didn't they give us that same consideration, right? Why not? I wonder what's the difference here, right? It seemed like they were a little concerned. And I'm hearing that John Rubo actually was the guy that was very influential in the new district maps. And he's the one that actually, District Moranti up out of the 5th, split up Gramerton Hills, and put them into new districts. That's what I'm hearing. And I'm hearing that, although he did add Republicans to his district from Gramerton Hills, even though I hear there's not a lot of Republicans there, but he can deal with that, right? He can deal with that. He wanted to make sure Breen did not have anyone challenging him, right? Steve Tvert, was that his name? Breen's chief of staff, who's really his handler. He's the liaison between the Spano administration and Mike Breen. He basically tells Breen what to do, even though he's the chief of staff, right? Mike Breen works for Steve Trevor. Right? And so, these guys decide how this is going to be done in the back, right? I'm hearing John Rubo, who will be going on to be deputy mayor, I'm hearing soon. He will be appointed, and quite possibly Rocco, a gentleman by the name of Rocco, I forget the last name, will be appointed to take his place. That may be happening sometime in September, I'm hearing. So, remember I said that. Let's see if it happens. I did mention Karen Beltran, and I thought it was going to be Alexandra Bessesi, but they ended up going with Beltran. Karen Beltran. She was announced as the new city court judge by Mike Spano. She was appointed. So congratulations to you. Recycling the same people. You know what I mean? Like it's just the same people, same few people. But anyway, yeah, I'm hearing that Rubo has something to do with that. Actually, he's the one that's the most influential. People were saying Tom Meyer, but Rubo, I guess the deputy mayor, was flexing there, right? And yeah, that's what I'm hearing. But yeah, it's definitely political, right? They definitely want to make sure that Mike Breen was going to have no one challenging him, because I mean, almost anyone could beat Mike Breen at this point, right? And they wanted to definitely screw over Moranti. And the people at Gramerton Hills, right? Even though they were put back together, they still are not back in their district. They're now in the 5th district together, as opposed to being in the 4th and 5th. And one of the big complaints was that they've developed a relationship with Moranti, and they like Moranti. I mean, most people will say Moranti and Mike Breen are two different people, right? Especially when it comes to being council members. Now, I'm not saying that Moranti has done the greatest job, and I'm not trying to knock him. I'm just being honest, right? Because there's people that will complain about him. But he has, done stuff and for certain people, right? Certain groups, Gramerton Hills, I guess, they're a certain section of District 6 that has gotten more of Moranti's attention. But Mike Breen, he's not going to do that. He's not going to give anybody. You guys should really go into the next public hearing, all you folks at Gramerton Hills, and protest that. Say, we want to go back into the 6th. You don't want Mike Breen. And they're pushing for Mike Breen to get reelected. So you're going to be stuck with Breen for another 4 years. I don't think you guys want that. But maybe you all can get together if you get stuck in the 5th district and vote him out. That's another possibility. But I'm just, letting you guys know that. Rocco D. Rose. Yes, is Rocco D. Rose going to be appointed as the next council member for District 4? Rubo was supposed to be the mayor. That didn't work out for Rubo, but he can't be upset. Rubo cannot be upset, all right? Because Rubo has gotten a lot of benefits, right? He got helped out with the brewery. Actually, I'm hearing, and maybe, I don't know, is this true? Does Keith Olsen have a piece of the Yonkers Brewing Company, the Yonkers Brewery? Anyone know that? Something I heard was floating in the air. And I hear that John Rubo, bought into it or whatever to help out Olsen, but Olsen doesn't put his name to it because police officers cannot, have liquor license. They cannot own businesses or bars and have liquor license. Is that true? Anyone hear about that? Just something I'm hearing. Anyway, the Yonkers Brewing Company is, again, as I mentioned many times, in the Trolley Barn, that building which is owned by AMS. And earlier today at the real estate committee meeting, which is chaired by John Rubo, they were discussing the Getty Square master plan. Guys, watch that meeting. And we'll pick up, with the redistricting meeting. I guess they're going to have more meetings on that.
Thing about it that process from the staff, from other involved and interested on a day-by-day basis in order to effectuate the project that they will be discussing in just a moment. Essentially, we are talking about a mixed-use project with approximately 3,500 apartment units, approximately 70,000 square feet of retail and office. Truly a mixed-use, transit-oriented development. That proposal was offered to the City Council the city council made a determination that the planning board would be the most appropriate agency in the city to deal with seeker as lead agency.
3,500 units. He left out the word luxury, all right? Those are luxury apartments that AMS Acquisitions is going to be building in that area. And that's why, what's his name? Nader Sage is hoping he can get $6 million for his building, right? He's got it on the market, or maybe it's a pocket listing, I don't know. But he wants $6 million, I hear, for it. That's the reason why they moved the fire station, right? AMS is going to be doing a lot of development in the Getty Square area, Chicken Island, up Locust Hill, a big development that's going to be in between Locust Hill and North Broadway. Huge developments, luxury stuff. They're pushing everybody out. That's why they don't care to clean up the place right now. They don't let the homeless people hang out there, right? AMS is not there yet. But once they get there, right, and they build up everything, then they're going to go in and start just cleaning everybody out. That's what they're waiting for. They don't care about the small business owners there who are there, paying their rent, trying to do business, not realizing that soon you guys are going to have to go. You're going to have to all go. They're going to get you guys up out of there. And I don't know if that had anything to do with the explosion at 23 Palisade that happened on Saturday, or actually it might have been Sunday morning, early morning. You guys hear about that? There was a huge fire on 23 Palisade. It's right across the street from Chicken Island there. And so it was a big explosion. Some people say that it could have been something with Con Edison. They were doing work there, but who knows? A lot of those properties need a lot of work. A lot of these landlords are looking to get up out of there, so who knows what's going on, right? And I said this, there's going to be a lot more fires in Yonkers. Remember, I said that. You're going to see an uptick in fires, right? So they're going to be doing a lot of development there in the city of Yonkers, in Chicken Island, I should say, and they're pushing everybody out. And so John Rubo, who is a tenant of this development company, AMS, he's there sitting as the chair, right? What do you think he's going to say? Right? He's never going to, disagree or not approve or, not go with whatever they want to do. He helped them and facilitated the Chicken Island deal to begin with. And that was his reward, right? I hear that they, bought the Trolley Barn building, and then they revised his lease. They gave him a better deal on the rent, right? And you hook us up in the council. That's quid pro quo. At the very least, is unethical, yet the Yonkers Board of Ethics that no longer exists for the most part, right? We don't think it exists anymore, said it was okay for him to do so. No, they didn't see anything wrong with that. Many people will not be able to follow the maps for this process. They have enough time on their hands and are staffing to have provided something, whereas residents could have seen actual streets, communities identified. They have to have this information, since it will be needed for eventual Board of Elections identification for those finding their polling location, ward, ED, council district. Sure. I believe that Lakeisha Collins Bellamy was nervous. She was a little nervous. She didn't seem her, kind of her tough self, like, hey, you better not say nothing, right? She, like, I heard you, and we're going to make this. And I think as an attorney, she knows that they're doing something wrong here. Something is going on here that may be illegal. And they know it. And I think that's why they're, kind of being more accommodating with this, as opposed to the term limit extension, where they just kind of ran that right through us, right? They just shoved that down our throats. They didn't care, right? But here they're being more accommodating. They're taking more time. They're saying they're listening to people. Right. And I think that there's something going on here. Right. And it's just, I think it may be illegal. They're not taking the time, like you said, to be more specific on these maps, right? Identify the streets, explain this more thoroughly to people. Give us your reasoning for actually, drawing the lines the way you did, other than just saying the same generic, well, the federal government required that we do a 5% interval, we're having that 15, so we have to shuffle it around, but it's not on parties. Oh, it has nothing to do with parties. That would be illegal, right? That's what John Rubo said. That would be illegal, because we don't do nothing illegal here in the city of Yonkers. No, not at all, right? No, not at all. Right. But so, yeah, I mean, they're definitely doing something illegal here. They're definitely redistricting based on political reasons. That's a fact. And they made it so obvious. And that's probably why Lakeisha Collins Bellamy is scared. So when is the FBI going to come in now? Huh? What's up with you guys up there in Rye? How hard you working? Why don't you hire me? Right? Can I be like an adjunct agent? Huh? I'm just saying. All right. What are you guys doing? There's so much there for you guys to dig through and sit and, find something, I'm sure. It doesn't matter if Breen runs and loses. There will still be a job for him. Yeah, absolutely. There will still be a job for him unless we come out and vote for a new mayor. That's very important. But we also have to vote for new council members because a new mayor is going to have a tough time if we don't get new council people, right? They're going to give that person a tough time. They're not going to, vote 7-0 like they do now for Mike Spano. So we have to make sure all you in the different districts to vote out the individuals who are up for election this year, re-election. Okay. But the mayor seat is definitely very important. And for all you folks who are pissed off about this redistricting thing, you got to come out and vote for a new mayor because I can guarantee you that the Spano administration, the Yonkers Democratic Party, had a lot to do with why the lines are being drawn the way they're being drawn, right? They want to remain in power and they need their puppets to stay in their positions, puppets like Mike Breen. He has to remain in power or he has to remain in the council seat, right? So he can keep doing whatever it is that we want. Plus we owe him. Got to help him out. We got to save him. So, I mean, that's what it's really all about. Moranti works and delivers for his district. Breen does jack shit. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't dislike Moranti. I really don't. I don't have any, but I mean, I think they can do more. I think they all can do more. That's my belief. I think that they do some things. They don't do a lot of things. I think they help some people out. They don't help most people out, and maybe Breen just doesn't help anybody out but himself. But they can do a lot more. They can all do a lot more, right? And I think anyone that wants to be mayor out of this, council, I don't know. I mean, you have to explain to us why you didn't do more. What was going on, right? Why was everything 7-0, 7-0 for the most part, right? Moranti voted with the administration for the most part, all right? He did, right? And sometimes, like I said, sometimes they'll go against the grain because it's not going to matter anyway. So it's like a free throw. You get a free point with your constituents, the people that voted for you. Say, oh, look, he's a rebel. He's going to fight for us, right? But it's not going to do much. It's not going to do anything. 3,500 apartments, way too many. That's right. Way too many luxury apartments when we need affordable housing, right? And again, affordable housing is not low-income housing. It's not free housing. It's for people who make money but don't have all these other investments and businesses on the side, and can't afford multiple properties, not like, it's for those individuals who work very hard, make 80,000, 90,000, but as the cost of living continues to skyrocket, it's becoming harder and harder to find a place they can actually afford without it being infested with the rodents that Tasha Diaz speaks about. Tasha, your district has been infested with rodents forever. But now you care about it. She cares about it because of the developments. They're bringing the rodents, she said. But when the rodents were on Stanley, you didn't care, right? When the rodents were in the Dunkin' Donuts over there on Tuckahoe, I posted the video. Someone sent it to me. Bunch of rats. Ruros went a couple weeks later and showed it also. And you guys did nothing about that. There's rodents everywhere. But now, because of developments, we don't want the rodents, So please, there's way too many apartments. Right. We need to get more affordable housing here. But essentially what I told you guys, what they're doing is they're pushing people out. They're pushing people out. Right. They're giving these little things. You think that those people that they did the grand opening ceremonies with, no disrespect, but do you think they care if they last? They're going to do whatever. Now they want to get this fourth term. They want to change everything up. Eventually those things, they're not going to need them. We don't need that. We don't need that program here no more. We got a whole new demographic now. Whole new demographic over here. We're going to have less shootings. We're going to have less violence, less crime. We're going to get all the homeless people out. We're going to push them maybe to the east side somewhere, south. We don't care. Just get away from here. Right. And all you guys that we helped out and stuff and funded and really did up, boom, we don't care if you go down a year from now, 2 years from now. Right. Watch. All that was just BS. It's all fake love, fake love, as we say in the hood. It's fake love. So much corruption going on. How much did AMS donate to Rubo? They donated, well, at least $4,000, probably more. And we don't know how much money they funneled through his company, A Perfect Solution, John Rubo Inc., which I hear has a tax lien, owes taxes, right? I hear a lot of actually the elected officials owe taxes, haven't been paying the taxes for 5 years. Some of them on their personal income tax, not just their businesses. Yet they want to criticize other individuals or try to accuse other individuals of these things. Oh yeah, I got all the documents, right? I get paperwork. That's what I do. I get the paperwork, right? It's all there. I don't know. That's where Liam failed, right? Liam failed to investigate John Rubo and a quid quo pro with AMS. They went after Mike Cater. They're still going after Mike Cater. All the judges are recusing themselves in that case as well. They're now going outside of the initial investigation, whatever they're investigating him for initially about the quid quo pro with the landlord or whatever and the rent. Well, now they're going outside of that, looking for other things. They're requesting things that are outside of that. But John Rubo sits here all nice and pretty, playing with AMS. No quid quo pro investigation there. None whatsoever. Interesting. And maybe because AMS has put money into the Westchester County DA's office. How much did they help out Mimi Roca? This is all crazy how connected it is, right? Because Hector Santiago, who's, now being, taken to court for misdemeanor. I mean, like, there's so much being done just to take this kid to court for this misdemeanor. Like, all the judges from Yonkers recused themselves, Mimi Roca and all that. So they got a judge from Orange County that's pursuing these disorderly conduct charges. Stupid, nonsense, bullcrap nonsense, right? But why did Mimi recuse herself? Because Hector Santiago worked on her campaign, right? He was in the office that she had at the headquarters, the campaign headquarters in Yonkers, which was in an AMS building, 86 Main Street. Did she pay for that or did she get that for free? Was that her 3D printer or did AMS give it to her? I mean, her office was the only really office that was actually being occupied, and that whole floor was just empty offices. But Mimi Roca had her headquarters there, little 3D printers and signs and all that good stuff. So she's tied to AMS. 1000%. She's tied to the Spano administration. Why else is she, playing with them or playing ball with them on that Mike Cater investigation? Investigate Mike Cater for a $70,000 quid quo pro allegation, but don't do nothing to Rubo for millions and millions of dollars in quid quo pro. Just don't make sense, right? Just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. And so the reason why I brought up Hector is because, he was working for Mimi Roca's campaign. That's how I saw her headquarters thing. He took me there. You're like, yes, Mimi Roca is where, I work on her stuff. Me and Mimi Roca is cool and stuff like that. Yeah, we had to connect. And by the way, Hector, I got some info for you. I could probably help your case, but you got to help me. You got to help me. So you want to hit me on the, hit me on, what's that? I forgot how the song goes. You could hit me on the cell phone. Yeah, give me a call. It's not just the money, it's the influence. Yeah, absolutely. John and Liam are in bed together. Really? I didn't want to know that. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, definitely. John and Liam are very, very good friends. I mean, John is, they're part of this little, good old boys club. Liam, Vinny Spano, John Rubo, you know what I'm saying? You got Henry, Dijon Balaji, whatever his name is, and who's also, I believe on the IDA. He's on the board of the IDA. He's involved with all the real estate. He's a real estate agent. Not that I dislike the guy. I'm just saying, just Give you the facts. You know, there's a lot of listings that nobody knows about, these tax liens, the properties when these people die and they don't have next of kins and nobody knows. And then they go secretly into this, you know, these estates, and then they get sold to their friends for very cheap, right? Very cheap. And then they make millions of dollars eventually down the line, right? So yeah, they're all in bed together. That's why John is never going to be investigated by Liam. Vinny's not going to let that happen. Vinny said, that Liam is his boy. He's got his back 1000%. That's his boy. I mean, he said it with a passion, right? I believed it, and that's their little crew right over there, their parents go way back, they all go way back, the old Republican racists, you know what I'm saying? They go way back. Liam McLaughlin, the inspector general here in Yonkers, his mother led a group of individuals to keep things segregated. They didn't want blacks and Hispanics, right, on the east side. They didn't want them bringing the crack to the east side, you know what I'm saying? Because they were just a bunch of lazy bums, who just want to smoke crack all day, you know what I'm saying? Thank God I wasn't like that, I wouldn't be here today. But that's what they believe. And you can see her. She's all over YouTube. If you, research and stuff, you'll see the videos of Liam McLaughlin's mom and the group that really fought. I mean, they caused the city of Yonkers to be fined millions of dollars because of them, right? Here he is, years later, taking more taxpayer money, right? They're just all taking taxpayer money. These individuals that have been in politics in the city of Yonkers for a very long time, decades, they managed to, dig in deep into politics here. And so it's like a game. It's like the board game for them. They're bringing out here the houses, the properties, and we control the cops and everything. We're untouchable. We're untouchable. We could drive drunk and crash. We could, sniff cocaine and then go and into a city council meeting, and do the roll call. You know what I'm saying? I could have sex with the councilwoman, in the mayor's office and get away with it. It's crazy. Whatever they do, they use taxpayer money to, invest in companies and businesses and then take a piece of them, right? Like, petroleum, Royal Petroleum, the gas station over there, right? And who is the one that owns that marijuana dispensary above Zupa? And how did that whole situation go down with the master lease, right? So all these things that they have done to enrich themselves and really just prevent other people from being able to, prosper themselves, right? Because if you want to invest in a property, but they won't sell it to you because, they're holding it to get rid of it somebody else, right? When you, all the properties here in Yonkers and everything are registered with the city clerk's office. So they know. Or the properties, people die, that go into, estates, I forgot, probate. They go into probate, right? When there's no next of kin and stuff, then the courts have to decide what's going to happen and stuff. And then you got the judges that they put into the courts, right? And then the attorneys and prosecutors. I mean, it's all a racket that all these small group of individuals are involved in. And they spun this web and it's all connected. And so everybody else on the outside of that is not going to do as well, at least not trying to do something here in Yonkers, it's just what it is, man. And that's just the truth about it. That's the reality. And until we vote, the top out, which is Mike Spano, and no diss to Spano, Mike Spano, he probably like, Freddy, please save me. Please get the people not to vote for me. That will get me out of it. That will get Mike Spano out of it because he's done. He's tired, but he has a family, right? They say, Mike, we need you to stay in there. We want to keep these jobs. We, want to keep our clients happy. And I mean, Nick has to keep his, developer clients happy, like AMS. I mean, you don't think that the mayor's going to go to these people on the planning board and everybody and say, yo, you guys better do all this because otherwise you're done? And so Nick is going to go tell Mike to do that. And that's what they do. That's what they do. I mean, Eleanor Spano was banned from the building department. And this is what I was told from the person that, was would stop people who were banned from coming into the building department because she walked into, Lou Albano's, I said, he's the planning commissioner, I believe, his office, and slammed $1,000 in cash on his desk to get something done for her. Really? So Lou took that $1,000 and brought it right to the mayor's office and said, I don't need this shit. Don't be putting me into this nut, And Eleanor Spano, she's somewhat influential, I guess, because when she takes a liking to you, you're gonna do good, right? And she took a liking to, certain individuals, and she champions for them. So they that's their business. That's the family business. Politics. The city of Yonkers. They say the city of Yonkers is the Spano family business. That's their company. Right, you see the city of Yonkers incorporated and whatever. Yeah, they incorporated it. You might as well say that, right? It's their, LLC or incorporation is theirs, right? It's their S corp, C corp or whatever you want to, business entity you want to write, right? They own it. They own the cops. They own the fire departments. They own the schools. They own it all. They make the appointments. They give the jobs. They approve the jobs, right? And so everyone's going to have to do what they say. That's how it is, right? Am I lying? How many of you folks are willing to speak out against the current administration publicly? How many? How many people? It should never be that way. It should never, ever be that way. No one should ever be scared to speak against the government, against elected officials. They should not be scared that they're going to lose their job. They should not be scared that their business is going to be harassed. But that's how it is in Yonkers. So until we come out and vote and change that at the very top, that's the mayor. And again, it's no disrespect to Mr. Spano, but we want to change, Mike. We want to change. We want to see what the city's like without the corruption, where people have equal opportunity employment, right? It's true. Equal opportunity promotions. Our schools are the primary focus, not developers. That's what we want to see here in the city of Yonkers. And that's what we want, so we should vote for that. And we should not be scared to say it publicly. We shouldn't. And if we are, that's more reason why we need to change it. And so I'm here, ready to fight. I'm going to keep fighting all the way, And so they own it. They own everything. They have it on lock. It's a fact. I mean, they just give Vinny Spano a job. Here you go. You're the city clerk, and they tell I know it's the council that appoints the clerks or picks the clerks, but they are told who to pick. And now this man makes $183,000 a year. No formal education, really. No experience at all. What was he doing before this? Before he was a city clerk? Maybe working somewhere in City Hall, right? But how did he get the job? Now he's $183,000 a year and he's barely at work. He wasn't at this meeting. It's always Mike Ramadelli. Mike, how much are you making? Are you making $190,000, Mike? Because you should be. You shouldn't be, but you should be, right? You should be because you're doing all the work, but you shouldn't be because that's way too damn much money. For what? For what? Because that salary, those high salaries for those individuals right there hurt the city more than they help the city. So that's poor money management right there. I mean, a private business person would not invest that amount of money into two individuals that weren't producing. Are those two individuals generating the city at least $600,000? Are they worth it, right? Are we getting some kind of return for those two? No. I know they have to be there, I guess, but why do we have to get paid so much? Should be a part-time job, right? Part-time job, or maybe one be a full-time, but get paid maybe $90,000 a year, half that, half the $183,000 that Vinny Spano makes. His wife, Jamie Spano, what experience does she have for her position as the executive director of the Yonkers Development Industrial Agency? They give the tax breaks to the developers. Yeah, and they are involved in the city property transactions. They buy the property, then they sell it to the developers. Semi-quasi-governmental, right? The mayor is the chairman. His sister-in-law is the executive director. His brother's partner in his lobbying firm, James Kavanaugh, is the president. James Kavanaugh, whose wife is the chairman, or chairwoman, I say, of the Zoning Board of Appeals. The board that changes all the zoning laws. And that's what they were doing this evening, changing more zoning laws so they can build all those crazy buildings up in Getty Square and Chicken Island to just make the place extremely crowded, more crowded than it already is. And imagine when they start building all that stuff there, what are they going to do with all that traffic that goes in and out of the city that way? It's a lot of traffic. Tractor trailers going to Domino. There's going to be a lot of detour through Maple, detouring through Palisade, detouring through Ashburton. Will Joe Cotter wait to build his studio on Ashburton so we can detour through there? I mean, it's too much. Enough is enough. And the people of the city of Yonkers, the people that vote, because a lot of the people that are benefiting, they don't live in Yonkers. They don't live in Yonkers. They don't care what the hell happens to Yonkers as long as they get their salary. So many people in Yonkers that would love to work for the city and make $150,000, $60,000 a year, but those jobs are being taken by people that don't live in Yonkers, don't care about Yonkers. And that's a problem. And it's not personal. It's not about the people. It's about the economics. When you pay 60%, 70% of the revenue that the city generates to employee salaries, and most of those employees leave the city of Yonkers with that money, that's bad for the economy. That's really bad for the economy. Right? That money's taken out, doesn't come back. No property doesn't come back in property taxes, doesn't come back in sales taxes, mortgage recording taxes, all that stuff, right? Doesn't. The ones that are paying taxes, a lot of them, you know, will have their kids in private school, Catholic school, right? Or the few good schools that they have, right? But for the most part, a lot of the people that make a lot of the tax money or the revenue that comes into the city don't have an interest in the schools here in the city. They just don't. Their kids don't go here. Their kids don't go here. What high school did Mike Spano kids attend? What high school did Lakeisha Collins Bellamy's son attend? They don't care about the schools. So the majority of the people who live in the city of Yonkers, whose kids go to the public schools, are not considered. You're not. The few that come up from certain neighborhoods, right? They'll consider them because, you know, they know what the hell they're talking about. They pay attention. And they come out to vote. So if you're someone that doesn't vote, but you're complaining about your child's school, you must come out to vote. You are now obligated to, because you have done complaining and you haven't voted. We all have complained, right? And many of us have not voted. The average person in the city of Yonkers makes $35,000 a year. The average city employee makes over $150,000 a year. That statistic doesn't make sense And that has a huge impact on the economics here in the city of Yonkers. And that is why they're moving most of us out and bringing in a new demographic, people that can afford to pay the rent, right? Because they say, well, you know, these people are not paying the rent. Because I got a call from somebody that's, you know, family is very well known here in the city of Yonkers, involved in politics, involved in a lot of real estate, owns some pretty good property. And this person was upset with me a little bit. And they blame the people that are not paying the rent, or the people that didn't pay their rent, stopped paying their rent during the pandemic and decided that they weren't going to pay their rent anymore. Well, the pandemic relief help is no longer available. Now they don't have no money to pay rent. So they got to go because, hey, what about the landlords? Well, how are they going to pay the rent? How do they generate the money to pay the rent? How? How does the majority of the people pay their rents that continue to climb? I mean, even before the development, still pretty high, right? But imagine now, how do they pay that if their average income is $35,000 a year? And where are they going to change that? What job is going to pay them more than $35,000 a year in Yonkers? Besides a city job, right? So, I mean, there you go. So if you're limiting who gets the city jobs, you're limiting the economic progress of a lot of people. And the majority of those people have been Hispanic and blacks. And then they look down on us and say, well, you're lazy. You don't want to do nothing. Go get a job. Where? I've applied many times with the city. They don't hire me. The construction jobs are coming from Connecticut, the contractors. I'm not in the movie union, so Lionsgate's not going to hire me. And then they want me to get vaccinated and also have 3 years of experience. So what am I going to do? I don't have money to start a business. And if I did, I don't know what business I would start. It's very difficult to start a business in the city of Yonkers. So unless you have $250,000, $500,000, you know, maybe that's not a good idea. So what the hell do you do if you are the average resident of the city of Yonkers? See, these are things that they didn't consider. They don't care. You don't know how to manipulate and cheat the system? You don't know how to be corrupt and take taxpayer money to enrich yourself? Well, screw you. You don't come to my campaigns and donate, and we don't give you a job at DPW? Screw you. You got a 95 on the exam, on the police exam? Did well on the physical, ex-military, lieutenant or sergeant? Screw you, because my nephew here, who needs a job, took the test. He got an 89. He's going to get the job. Maybe next year, because you are very qualified. We like you. But maybe next year. Oh, next year comes, oh, my other cousin, my other brother's son, because I got 15, 16, 17 of them, you know, and then they all got kids. So screw you. They raped and pillaged the Republican Party, and now they're raping and pillaging the Democratic Party. Screw you. I don't know about you folks, but I'm tired of it, and that's why I'm speaking out. That's why I'm fighting. I'm fighting for you. The ones that can't speak out publicly, and I get it. You don't want to take that risk. So make sure that you come out to vote, because if you truly want to support me, make sure you come out to vote. If you truly want change, make sure you come out to vote and you tell people we must come out to vote. Enough is enough. Maybe a simple question, but why can't they divide the city like a pie? Because it's not a pie. It's a city. Just kidding. 1/6 of the city based simply upon population and areas, neighborhoods, not the ethnicity or race of the residents. I think this system pushes people apart rather than joins them with the common desire for clean streets, crime. The 3rd district runs from the Hastings lines to the Bronx line for the most part. Are problems in the Southwest the same as the Northwest? Of course not. How is that creating real change? I'm trying to understand how can you make the districts equally populated? I mean, I guess you have to kind of, wrap, because I mean, you're just gonna have, the topography or whatever that word, right? The area, mountains, and some places got more mountains, more spaces where there's no houses, it's just land, right? Some places are more condensed, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't think they should do it on race, obviously. Look, listen, whatever district you win, right? You guys should work together to keep it nice. So that way you guys won't want a new district lines, whatever, right? Everybody should just be working together in district lines. I don't know. It's very confusing. I tried to look at it, but I don't know. Only thing I could, they don't even know. They're basically trying to do it based on political reasons. We know that, right? They don't know. They don't know. The Save Yonkers Federation. Yeah, we need to save Yonkers. We need to save Yonkers, folks, because they're pushing people out. They haven't created any jobs. In the past 12 years, Mike Spano has not created any jobs. Mike Spano has not created any job. Mike Spano has not created any real economic progress. Our schools have not improved. The roads have only gotten worse. Yonkers has become more crowded. Crime is up. How many people have already been stabbed, even in the schools? All the youth programs. But what's really changed? What everyone else sees is things have gotten worse. The cost of living has gotten higher, more expensive. Water bills, taxes, rents, foods, parking tickets, speeding tickets now. You have speed cameras. It's more expensive. The meters, you have to pay them for most of the day now. I mean, there's really no time when they're not working. They're everywhere. What has Mike Spano and these council members done in the past 12 years? What? Besides give you a job. If you're one of the people that says, oh, I love Mike Spano, because you got a job, right, Erwin? You got a job. Your wife got a job. You said it. I don't know how I would have survived during the pandemic if it wasn't for the Spanos. Damn right you'd be kissing their ass. Damn right you would do what you did to me, your cousin. And that's why so many people kiss their ass. And those are the only ones that say a great job has been done. The Chuck Lesniks could come and say, the Justin Tubiolos. You don't even represent the Republicans. Honestly, Justin, your son is looking to be a career politician. So he's looking to live off the taxpayers' money for the rest of his life. And you're going to ensure that that happens by betraying the Republican Party when the Spanos need you to. Betraying whoever when the Spanos need you to. So let's just keep it honest. Let's just keep it all the way honest. Keep it honest. You guys are screwing over the majority of people here in the city of Yonkers, playing your games, your greedy games, your lies. You're full of shit. Not everybody's getting loans that they don't have to pay back from the city, John. Not every business has a mayor willing to invest $1 million of taxpayer money to save. But of course he wants equity. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. We must vote for change. Change change, change. Mike Spano has not done anything for this city. Nothing at all. These development plans are not even his. Give Phil Amacone the credit. Right? He's a real engineer. He had a real education. He had a real job before politics, and politics was in his thing. That's why he said, I'm not going to go up against the Spanos and try to fight for this third term, because they wanted him out. So the Spanos fought for to keep him from extending to third term so he could run again. Right? But then when it was their turn, they were all for extending term limits. But Phil said, I have a real life outside of politics. This is not my career. This is public service, not a career. But I guess when you don't know anything else, you can't make it in the private sector, you go on welfare. Politicians who are career politicians essentially are on welfare. I'm Freddy Vazquez, Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you, beautiful people. I love you. Please come out and support. And, we need someone to step up. Step up, not be scared, have some balls to make some real change. Go in there and clean house. It's time. It's time, folks. I'm up out of here. Have a good night. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered, where truth lives. Folks, please do not pay attention to what is being said on other platforms. I know that they are still mentioning my name. But you have to understand, when I am speaking out against the corruption, they will do anything to tarnish my reputation and who I am. But I have established myself very well. And so people reach out to me and say, hey, look what this guy is saying about you. I'm not going to mention the name. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to try to go high. I'm going to try to be better than that. But I hope by now most of you know who I am and what I've done and what I'm doing and what I'm going to do.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddy Vazquez.
Freddy wins.